Easy E, how are we?
Shawnee, I'm fat.
Well, it's the second episode after Christmas, so a lot of people are feeling like that, but they don't think they're saying it as bluntly as you're saying it, but that's one way of.
Listen,
all right.
This next episode is about how useless you are at the Art O'Neill. And we have a great guest on that's given some great nuggets for anyone who's taken on an absolutely amazing event this weekend. But before that, Seán, I am fat. I've done a calipers test and it is not good. It is not good at all. So I didn't do the Dubai 10K and there was good reason. And the reason was it's $85. And Katie agreed. It's a lot of money to spend for you to go for a trot. And she was like, maybe spend that money when you're running faster. And then I was like, I'm fat, haven't
I? And she said, she'd know better than anybody.
So I went on to Amazon. I got weighing scales. I got a calipers and I got a measuring tape. And and they say like, you just think you are. I was like, no. The facts are on the page. Measurements speak for themselves. So, yeah, I suppose after giving you all the abuse, I suppose we're all about transparency on this one. So if anyone else is stuck in a rut, I'm going on a journey. I'm going from fat man to Iron Man again at some point. So that journey's going to start. But we went on a tour of a gym today. So I ate a load of pizza and then went to a gym to have a tour of the facilities, as you do. And I was like, right, one last day of being fat man. And I think now I'm going to look into the figures of this. I think it is one of the largest indoor gyms in the world per square meter or something like that.
Oh, wow.
It's absolutely massive. I was
I
out
get
of
your
breath
steps up anyway going around it.
I was out of breath walking around the place. Everyone's like, all right, can I get you some water? I was like, I'm all right, yeah. Catching my breath. But it is amazing. You can do absolutely anything from MMA to stair steppers that I've never even dreamed.
What do you mean by MMA in a gym?
You can go in and do full kickboxing and mixed martial arts classes as part of your gym membership.
Oh, they just have a studio then at the side then for like, or
they have a full octagon.
What? Like a proper full octagon cage in the gym.
There's like a hell in the cell. There's open that door. let me go in there with your man and fight him out. They have this in the gym.
No way.
Everything. They have a 25-meter swimming pool. Like, now, everyone's listening going, well, if you have those facilities, then you shouldn't be. Yeah, that's why I'm probably going to join this gym. But I'm going to show that it doesn't just happen. You have to work at these things. But like I couldn't believe while I was in this place. I didn't realize there was that many different types of yoga. I was looking at the class list going, hold on a hairy minute. What's that one? And like, it's unbelievable. It comes at a price though. It is pricey, but when you consider everything you're getting for it, absolutely amazing. So we'll see what happens. There's a 12-kilometer cycling track, 12-kilometer running track.
12 kilometer?
Yeah. It's in a loop. Yeah, it loops all back to the gym. And the running track is not a road. It's like a red sponge.
For 12 kilometers?
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah. So now no hills. So I've lodged a complaint. So I was like,
oh yeah, of course.
But anyway, that has been my weekend. So although I didn't do Dubai, I spent that money on pizza and fuel to go look at a gym. So and on the materials to tell myself something the mirror was already telling me was I am in fact fat. But so look, if anyone is interested in the journey, I am going to start tracking how I get on. I'm going to start tracking the retransformation process and we'll see how it goes. I suppose we're all about honesty and transparency, and we have some fantastic guests on this. So no better reason to be motivated, because talking to these people, I have to be able to be in some decent shape. And again, it's part of that yo-yo. I do it every Christmas. Now there was a lot more involved in this one, so I'm being harsh on myself, but I'm also realistic. But it'd be interesting to see, and for people to see what it takes to get back there. and the work and effort. And yeah, we'll see how it goes. And any tips and tricks anyone has along the way, let me know.
Before we get into this week's guest, then, does that mean what's the end of this journey? What means you've completed this journey? Is it looking back in the mirror and saying it's done? Is it body fat calipers down to X amount? Or is there, like there was last year, there was an Ironman? Or is that something you're still a work in progress? Are you going to hop in the Hell in a Cell with someone in Dubai? Is that what we're really going with here?
I think you're going to end up punching the head off someone in a ring. No, I will take your smallest man, please. But it's no, I think this year, I think events I'm going to book. I think after the Ironman, I think like if I pick a half Ironman here or a half Ironman there, I'm going to do it. And I'm happily do it. And I think an Ironman, if I do pick an Ironman, it's time. And when I do pick that Ironman and I assess the course, I will set the challenge then. But I think for me this year, it's about body fat percentage. And I think for the first time in a long time, it's probably 6-7 years since I've gone at a target aimed at a body fat percentage. So I'll reveal all the stats on the old gram there with a few shaming images of myself. And then I'm going to comment saying this is terrible body shame and you shouldn't be doing that to poor Eric. But we will see how she goes. But yeah, I think to get down to that lean, I'll never have a six pack. Well, never say never, but I've never had one in my life, even when I was skinny, 82 kilos running a marathon. So, but we will see what happens with a bit of weight training, with a bit of everything else. The facility is there, the excuses aren't there. So we'll see what happens. I won't be starting this week because I'm still jobless. But we'll see how this week goes in terms of the job front. Everyone should be back for Christmas, so we should know how the next year or two is going to go in that. So, but yeah, that is where I am in Dubai, and I'm still doing my hour and a half of Duolingo every day. So if anyone wants Arabic lessons, I'm your man. I know 4 letters, and I know the word for house. So. But yeah, look, it's about we did talk about setting goals, we did talk about journeys and excuses and motivation and all of these good things. So it's time to actually put the money where the mouth is, and kind of prove the transition to myself, and everyone can follow along and laugh.
Well, speaking of journeys, a lot of people are going for a journey this Friday night. They're going through the Art O'Neill Challenge. For those that don't know, that haven't listened to previous episodes, was talking about the Art O'Neill Challenge. I did that last year and didn't get on so well doing it. I got lost in the mountains and I'm doing circles, and hear more about that in this week's episode of the podcast. So the Art O'Neill, you start in Dublin Castle and you've got 60k to go up through the mountains into Glenmalure to finish. And we're going to have an expert in the podcast that's done it 3 times, doing it again 4 times. So without further ado, this week's episode of the Any Given Runday Podcast. Let's go. So the night before the Dublin Marathon back in 2023, wasn't feeling great, feeling down on myself, didn't feel the best. And I got an email late that night. And it was from the Art O'Neill Challenge and being like, Seán, unfortunately, you didn't get in. I didn't feel unfortunate. I felt delighted. I was like, thank God, I tried my best. I didn't get in. But today's guest on the podcast has not only got that email this year to say she got in, it'll be her 4th time doing it. And last year when she did it, she finished it in 11 hours and 58 minutes. To put that in context, I was somewhere lost in the mountains still for the next couple of hours after that. So we welcome Ciara Smullen to this week's episode of the Any Given Runday Podcast. Ciara, how are you getting on?
Hi, Seán. How are you?
I
actually did get that email as well, but I had got it the first time saying, no luck this time.
Oh, and you got in anyway.
And I got in the second round of stuff. So the first, I woke up the morning of the marathon, looked at my phone, I'm like, oh, thank God.
Appreciate the honesty of this one, Ciara.
Yeah.
But you're doing it with your family this time, so it's a little bit different for the 4th time round.
It's a little bit different for the 4th time round. Yeah. So I put my name in the hat like I have done the last few years and didn't get called, but my brother got picked. And then in the second round, my sister got picked. And then, I got an email saying your spot's there if you want it. So the 3 of us are in, and the 3 of us are going up now next Friday to give it a bash.
Ciara, would the 3 of you play Monopoly together at Christmas?
No, we don't play board games.
So, like, would you not kill each other doing this monstrous event?
Yeah. There's a bit of an aspect of that. We keep teasing John, saying his endurance bit is putting up with me and Neve for the 11 hours or so that it'll be out there.
Because like I'd be saying see you later to Seán. Now when we talk about this event, that would be no problem. But Seán went a completely different direction to every other competitor at the start of the race last year, so he was off to a great night. But how as a family have you managed to convince each other to take this challenge on?
I don't know. I blame John. He did it a number of years ago and said to us, "Oh, sure, look, put your name in it. It's a draw. It's random. It's a lotto. It's hard to get." So back in I think it was 2019, 2020. Yeah, I threw my name in the hat, and I was the only one that got pulled out. So I've been putting my name in ever since, and I keep getting pulled
out. But I know you've done like 46k the Eco Trail in Wicklow, you've done 50k Port Dumna races. Had you done anything like I know with the Art O'Neill, it's a completely different beast, but had you done endurance races up to this point before doing the Art O'Neill for the first time?
Not before the first time I did that, no. And the first time I did it, I actually trekked it. I walked the whole thing, so that was horrid. Like, it's so long. I just like whatever running it or the hybrid, the walk. Fair play to anybody going out to walk that. Like, it's 15 plus hours. Like, it's
a long old day. Well, it's a long old night.
It's long, it's slow, it's in your just
Seán, you tried to walk it. You tried to walk it, didn't you?
I tried doing circles. I thought it'd be a lot of fun doing circles.
Not so much practice.
No, absolutely not. And we'll go through it in different stages, but I have to get this out of the way real quick. How did you find the navigation? Like I got from like checkpoint 1 to checkpoint 2. I was doing okay. I had 4 hours to get to the next checkpoint, and I think it's something like maybe 10k away or something like that. So 10, 12k. Yeah. I haven't got the figures right in front of me. So it's not that far to do in 4 hours. You could walk 4 hours if you know where you're going. I did not. And I was completely lost. And like, you've done this 3 times. Is this a case where it's not really a navigation challenge for you? And like the first time doing it, was it like, were you overwhelmed with the navigation, or have you experienced doing that?
Yeah. So the first time I did it, they used to actually guide you from checkpoint 1. So there used to be the mountain rescue would an option. So I trekked. So if you were a trekker, you could opt in to go with a guide, and he would guide you, or she would guide you across the mountain section. So that's what I did the first time, and it was quite helpful. Like, I didn't breeze what I was doing, but after that, then I did a mountain skills course with Cormac from FIA Mountaineering. So that gave me a little bit of just a bit of confidence, just how to use the compass, how to read a map. Those basic skills that are necessary for something like this.
Yeah, Seán,
exclamation point!
What you're talking about.
This is why you're on the podcast with the build, because I was like, people this is one of the big events of the year, I think, and it was like, we'll do a preview for it this year. And I was like, I can't be talking about a preview, because unless you want to do everything wrong, then listen to me for this challenge. So it's all on you this episode, Ciara. So the second time when you start reading the navigation skills, it was a lot easier for you. Did you ever change because I know you can have different options. And for example, last year, like the weather was horrific, and they were like, go left for the river. Oh, it was I still have people to this day talk to me like seeing my stories of being lost. Like, how were you out and that? I was driving home and like the motorways were flooded and stuff. And how did you do it? Like, I don't know. I was just stuck and I had no choice. But did you take different directions and stuff each time because of the weather, or was it just, this is my path, I'm going with it?
Yeah, no, I didn't change it on the night. I went. Yeah, recce is so important. Like, I have to get out and get a feel of where you're at and what the ground is like, and that's that little fence there, and this is this. So I didn't want to change it on the night. I wanted to go with what I practiced. So yeah, I wasn't going off the other direction, where I know they recommended it because it wasn't, the river wasn't that crossing, but no, I had to cross the river now at a different point than I intended to, because and it was a bit of walking up and down to see where it was safer. But no, I stuck with what I had planned to do, and yeah, I just stuck with that. I just didn't want to go messing with it, didn't want to end up what you were doing.
Yeah, well, I kept changing my plans throughout the night, and that's why I did not finish, among a plethora of different reasons. But going back to the very start, like, I suppose your training leading up to it now, you talk about your mountaineering skills and stuff like that. Are you just like, is it a recce and then just building up your mileage towards doing an event like this, or obviously it's a bit late for people now listening, but people listening to this and after the podcast being like, that's something I want to put my name into the hat for next year. What kind of training tips would you have for those people?
Get out into the hills. Like, it's the only thing. Like, the road is the road, but you know yourself, even that road starts to climb pretty quickly as soon as you hit out of that down up to Bohanabrina. Like, it's dark, it's hilly, it's you can walk that. There's no shame in walking those hills.
It's incredibly steep.
It's very, very steep, and that's what I just try and walk the hills, conserve a bit of energy, but get out into the hills and just do those recce's. Checkpoint 1 to checkpoint 2, checkpoint 2 over to table track and back. Those kind of things. Just, you can't do it enough times. You'll go a different way every single time as well. Different conditions and everything. So it's just to give yourself a little bit of confidence kind of going into it. You wouldn't want to be hitting that hill for the first time on the night.
I completely agree with you. Speaking of energy, so the race itself, for people who don't know, it starts at Dublin Castle, starts at 11 o'clock at night, and then you're pretty much going through the night, through the dark. That's pretty much their catchphrase. How do you set yourself up for that day? So what I did, I remember having forced myself to have a nap around 4 or 5, 6, whatever it was. I remember I try and get some sleep for an hour and a half or so, and I just felt like mad groggy and sleepy. And I remember even when I got there, I lost something. I can't remember what it was. Something really important that I remember losing and not knowing where it was. And I remember I got a compass that day because I was so prepared. And I remember opening it up and literally slitting my finger. And the next 20 minutes just having my finger over the sink and blood pouring out. And I'm like everything wrong I did wrong that day. How do you prep on the day of that event, knowing you're going to be going through the night and sleep deprivation and making wrong decisions and all the rest? Do you just power through, or do you try and get a bit of sleep during the day, or it's no, I got to work and I have to go that evening, that's it?
No, I try and get a bit of rest. So I'd have all the prep done, the kit packed, all that's done the day before, a few days before, probably a week before. It's all packed away, it's all ready to go. Everything, I know where everything is, everything's labeled. Just get it organized, so it's one less thing to worry about. Check off the kit list, do all those things that can be done. Don't need to be left until the last minute. And the day, eat, sleep for a little bit, even just to put the feet up. I have 2 kids, so you can't always get that bit of sleep knocking on the door. So try and get some kind of rest, and then I'd wake up, pretend I'm having my breakfast, have the coffee, have a breakfast type of meal, and then head up. So definitely try and get some kind of rest.
Smart.
Oh, well, it does make sense. And it's something we learned in our times, different bits of training. Any sort of, people laugh at me now, I'm the king napper, because I'll go in and I'll get 20 minutes. Why are you bothering going for 20 minutes? It's every 20 minutes of sleep is a benefit. It's another little benefit. It's another little, and that's why that day, Seán, I was try and get some sleep, and you're probably not the most functional after a nap now, to be honest. So in Seán's case, I don't think anything's going to help him, to be honest. But Thanks. It is true what they say about that. The little bit of rest before, it makes every bit of difference in the 9th hour, in the 10th hour, in the 11th hour, and that's when it's important.
Yeah, absolutely. I would. Pro nap. I am pro nap.
Speaking of having your gear and stuff packed out the week and stuff beforehand, is there anything, let's say year 1 you had, or you wish you had, that you brought to year 2 and year 3?
No, I probably overdid it on year 1. I probably put everything and anything in the bag, and it's heavy and it's weighty, and then you're carrying it too much stuff. No, I don't think. I think I packed well enough like I always pack an extra couple of layers. I changed the gear, my road gear, say, I changed that completely then at the first Pure, like last year, because it was soaked, yourself, you were soaked to the skin. There was no amount of waterproof, so we're going to keep that out. And then changed completely, whole new set of gear, felt great, and went into a hole about 500 meters after changing and was wet then for the rest of the day, the rest of the night. So all good intentions.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting how. I knew I was going to go into a field, but I just remember one stage, just my foot just plonking down to something, and I went up to knee height, and like, so much for changing. Now I was glad to get out of the wet clothes, but oh my god, I was just like straight into it again.
Straight in it, yeah. That bit from Capure that you can't recce, the bit from Capure out onto the bit of road, then before you get to checkpoint 1. Like I expected that to be some kind of like a little stony trail, maybe something nicely laid out for us. No, it was trudging through a field. It was horrible.
It's so I must have been like with a load of people, but I didn't find the navigation part of that hard. I think I don't know if it's signposts at that stage. I think it's
wee little flags. I think they had up. Yeah.
So that's it. So people listening doing it for the first time, it's easy to get from that point to checkpoint 1 because I did it.
Yeah.
But it's just that foot going like it's so moshy, I suppose. It's just so deep.
It's real. Yeah.
You change your runners then? Do you have boots for that stage or?
No, I just put on trail runners then. So I had road runners on for the road, and then I changed into the trail runners. Because the last section is all on road. That last 5K is from that car park right into Glenmalure. I did not want to be wearing boots. They'd be like concrete blocks on my feet trying to move. Like, so no, I put the runners on and slipped my way down to Glenmalure.
Extra layer to of socks. So I remember wishing that, like, more than anything else, my ankles were freezing. I'm like, I wish I just had boots or extra clear pair of socks right now. And that was
waterproof socks, Seán. Waterproof socks.
There we go, gear. If you're listening, waterproof socks. Another thing I did not do during that stage. But we'll go back to
changer.
We'll go back to the very start. It's 11 o'clock. It's Dublin Castle. It's starting to build up. The anticipation is there. And it is the most surreal thing when you leave that, because unlike other events, like if you go to Dublin Marathon, people around know Dublin Marathon's going on. But because everyone kind of like comes to Dublin Castle at a different time, inside the castle, you always know what's going on. But I never forget leaving, turning the corner. And before I went the wrong way to everyone else, I remember like going past like restaurants and stuff and just seeing like just people looking outside going, what the hell is going on here? Or just people walking up and just seeing like, I can't even remember how many people, it must have been close to 200 people coming down the main street and going, what's going on? People half cut. People are half cut leaving bars early and go, what am I looking at here?
High-fiving as you
How are you feeling at that stage you get started like?
Oh, it's so exciting. That bit's great. Like such a little buzz. Like you're like, you know what you're in for now. We'll see you then tomorrow morning. Like it's something special about it now. And you're coming out like that. Everyone's falling out of the pubs and looking at you as if, where are they off to? Like, and you're the whole gear, the high vis, the head torch on, the pack on the back. Like, you look like you're out for the week. Like, but yeah, it's a good buzz, and it's nice having you see all the little lights twinkling heading down the road, and I'm just plodding around at the back there, just letting them all go on.
Ciara, you've done a little bit of long distance and a lot of trails. What's your strategy for that road part? Because from what I've seen in parts, that's where people try and set the pace for themselves, try and get out early, get ahead of the crowds. What is your strategy, or what's your advice for people in that first segment? Is it keep that jog on because that's where you make up the time, and as you said, once you hit the hills, then bring it back, or what's your strategy, or a strategy that you've tried because you've done it so many times?
Yeah, well, unless you're like Ellen Vitting or Ricky Wynn, gonna blitz this thing, just pull it back, just conserve your energy. I just find that works best for me anyway. I don't be trying to make up, this isn't about time. This is about shared suffering of all of us in it together. We're just getting through it, getting through the night, and there's something special about that. It's not about beating a time or, well, for some people it will be, but for me, it's definitely, Take it
We'll drop
easy.
this in.
Take
Now
it
you know
easy.
it's 11 hours and 48 or so minutes and possibly a little bit better weather. Will you be trying to beat your time?
Well, there's always that aspect. You're like, oh, you say you don't. Like, I was on a recce with my brother there last week, and I was like, Jesus, we did that in half an hour quicker this time than we did the and he's the same. So I thought it wasn't about the time. I was like, that's not, but that's nice.
You still have the chip on.
But I wouldn't be chasing it. Like, I'm not chasing it. It's just a nice bonus, I suppose, if you can finish a little bit earlier.
I was so surprised at the start. I remember just being downstairs and just taking it all in, whatever, and looking around and seeing the amount of people which looked like they were in their alpha flies and their carbon fiber shoes, the first 25K. And I'm like, what have I got myself into here? I thought this was just, a jog hike for the first 25K, and it's flat enough, but not like super speedy. And there was people all setting up as if they were heading out to like the half marathon in the Phoenix Park, and I'm like, what is going on here?
It's mad, but they're the people. Like, not all of them, obviously, but I remember one year the checkpoint 1 used to always be in Capure. It used to be at where the checkpoint 1 is now, if that makes any sense. Where the forest, the entrance to the forest. And so you'd have to get out of your gear in the cold. Like, there was no indoor space to do that. But there was a fella like huddled by the fire, shook, ultra written on him, like just like this, just in bits. And I always think, I was like, don't be that guy. Don't be that guy who blew up, who went out too hard and now is dying, and he hasn't even, he's only just done the road. Like, so I always have him, the poor guy. I don't know who he was, but I always have him in my head. Just take it easy.
There's two options for you, Arthur Neil. One of them is the pursuit. The one's the challenge, and that's the full thing you're doing. One's pursuit is a 25K just to Capure, and that's when it stops. And that never appealed to me just because of the navigation, the real challenge, the real going through the night. Except when I got to 25K and I heard the buzz and stuff, and people were having pints and all the rest, and I was just like, well, actually, I think by the time I got there, that bar was closed because it was well past last orders. I just hearing all that, and I was like, I think I would like to be finished now. Now, I was soaked to the skin. It took me, like they say, get in and get out of there fairly quick. I think just because of how soaked the skin I was, it took me like 40 minutes to get out of my clothes.
Takes a while to get out of the wet gear, yeah.
Did you find that last year, or was that just an abnormal year to other years at that stage?
Yeah, well, it was exceptionally wet, but yeah, like last year, funny you say that about wishing you stopped. My sister actually did the pursuit last year. Now, she actually ended up coming second female, so she did amazing.
Oh, wow.
But but she had the opposite. She saw when she waited for me to come in, helped me get sorted, so that was nice. And then she saw me off, and she said she was very jealous that I was heading off for an adventure and she was getting to go home. But now, when she got into her car, I'm sure she was like, thank God. But that is so she's doing it now with me this year, so it'll be she'll see herself when she gets to Capure how she actually feels. But yeah, there's comfort in that, seeing all the bodies, all the people inside. It's not really lonely. There's a lot of buzz around, so that's lovely.
Yeah,
come into that.
There's a lot of buzz, and people are talking and stuff. And one of the guys in the podcast before, Marky Does Trails, he's doing it this year, and he did it. He did the pursuit last year. He's been trying for years to get in. I think he did like a picture of a pint or something at the end of the pursuit and being like, good job. And for some reason, I just couldn't mobilize to go back. I was like quickly scrolling through Instagram or answering a couple things, whatever. And I just saw that. I was like, I could be done. I could. What am I doing? Putting myself out there.
Fun. Wouldn't be fun. You're missing the fun part.
That's it. Yeah, no, I haven't said that. I know for sure that if I did the pursuit and I couldn't do it to full, I was like, I wish I was still going. I wish I had more tank to keep going out there. But we talked about already. We've got Capure. You're going through all that mosh. I don't even know the right word to describe it, to get towards checkpoint 1, and then after that, there's a bit of up and down in trails, if I remember right. But then from checkpoint 1 to checkpoint 2 is where the navigation really begins, and you're 40. Are you 42? No, you're not. You're the 42,
no,
43K. That's checkpoint 2, I think.
That's about checkpoint 2. Is about that, yeah.
Yeah. So it's only, is it 4 or 5K between checkpoint 1 and checkpoint 2 or something silly? Or I have that there.
Checkpoint 1 and checkpoint 2 is about 11K.
So yeah, it's 31K at checkpoint 1, and then checkpoint 2 is the 43k mark there. Which just looking at your times there, you did it in roughly 3 hours. I was out there for 6-7 hours, and this was the end game for me. First part of it, everyone goes the same way. You come into a field.
Only one way to go. Yeah.
And then you come into a massive field, and from what I could see, because it was obviously bad dark, there seemed to be a hill in the way. You can either go really far left or really far right. And I decided for some reason I wanted to go right. And I ended up going around, I'd say 500 meters in. And I turned around and realized I'd gone in the middle. And I looked and I saw people to my left. I saw people to my right. And then that's when the wheels fell off of me. When you get to that stage, what do you do more importantly? Because don't listen to me.
It's very disorientating when you get up there and you see the torches and some are gone to the left, some are gone to the right, some are gone in the middle, and you're like, oh Jesus, should we go that way? Should I go this way? Just stick to what. Now I know you didn't practice, but stick to what you just stick to what your map is saying. Stick to what your watch is saying. Like I know you were saying you had the hiker app that you didn't open, so that would have saved you all of that heartache.
The really annoying thing about that is I'd only done, of course, last minute, I'd only done the hiker app that day. And whatever way I was searching on it, I went for my nap, woke up from my nap, and one of the guys who runs it was just like, oh, I assume you're doing the Art O'Neill challenge that night, because who else is searching that on the Friday before? Go for a hike. He's like, you won't get that the free plan, you won't get whatever the detail it was. Here's 1 month or whatever it was to the full plan. So I had the whole map on my phone.
You got a free map?
Yeah, I didn't ask him none of that. So I got the whole thing. But this was 7-8 o'clock.
And you never used it.
Well, this was 7-8 o'clock that night. I didn't know my way around it. I just gotten it that day. Your man had done me a favor, but I didn't know my way of using it. And I could have. And like in the middle of the night, then, so by the time you took your phone out, you couldn't read your phone right because like it was lashing that much. Like I remember looking at. I remember I kept going in circles, and I remember hearing this before. I probably mentioned when I was talking on the podcast that like if it's pitch dark and you start walking, you will end up walking in a circle. I'm like, no, I know how to walk straight. Like I've walked straight for 35 years and how to walk straight. But I got to the point out there when I was out there by myself, and I was like, I'm definitely doing circles. So I had to open the Google Maps and just see that dot going further south. And I was walking, I was like, why does it keep turning? Why is it not turning? And then I had a compass next to the phone, and seeing me with a compass next to the phone, that can affect the compass.
It'll affect us, yeah.
All these things, all these mistakes I made in the middle of the night in the worst weather of probably that entire year.
That's nasty. Yeah, but that app would have saved you. You can open it up, and then like if you had used it, like there's a little button at the bottom, a little circle. You press that, it'll give you your live location, exactly where you are in relation to the map. So it's helpful as a tool. Like I wouldn't totally rely on it, but if you're like that, doubting where you are, or am I near the forest, or am I near this, it'll tell you. It'll tell you exactly where you are. And you're like, oh, I'm actually off line here, or actually I'm going left when I should have been going right. So I find it really, really useful.
I knew when the maps where trees were supposed to be and all the rest, and just keep left of this and next to that. But once you're out there, once you get disorientated it's game over. You're not seeing it. It's hard.
Yeah, it's hard to keep your head right and not kind of panic. Like it's very easy to panic.
Yep. Actually, no, I was too stupid to panic. I was like, but you get that security bag. What's this security bag? The technical term for it. It's a big
the little BB bag thing.
Yeah, and because you got the tracker on you, so yeah, like like if they see you're not moving for ages, like I'm assuming they come and find you at some stage. I'm like, I wonder if I just stuck myself in the bag and just lay in the field, like how long would it be to someone come and collect me? And that did cross my mind. I was like, I just keep walking circles for a couple of hours and keep going from there.
Yeah, like to be honest, that's sometimes when the going gets rough out there, and you're like, oh God, this is hard, or Jesus, where are we? And you feel like you're walking in the same field for days. But I always think, sure, it'll take them longer to find me. I might as well just keep walking.
That was it. I thought of Eric, and I'm like looking around, like you know, very soon, like he couldn't land a helicopter in here, so I better keep on.
Oh, they'll have to walk you, and you have to walk you out anyway. I'm like, you have to go this way, but humiliated.
Yep, that is the exact same conversation I have myself. Like, I may as well just keep walking, because if they just, I also kept thinking they're just going to look at this one dot by itself and just keep going in circles.
Oh, you weren't the only one that night, Seán.
They're in the van up going, that poor gobshite.
I know, they're probably looking at him like, oh, how long before we have to go rescue this guy?
So you keep on going. You cross a river at some stage.
Yeah, there's two. Yeah, it depends on where you cross the river. Like I said, every time I've done it, I've had to cross the river at different points. But yeah, you try and cross it at the safest point, I suppose. But yeah, I think I crossed it twice last year, whatever way I went. But it was pretty heavy. It's pretty full.
I remember crossing the river twice, and I was like, I don't know if I shouldn't have crossed the river twice, if that makes sense, whatever way I went.
Yeah.
And then after that, then it's a lot harder to. Well, I ended up finding a group of people, and they were just as lost as I was, and like end up near different fences
That's
and stuff.
even worse.
How hard is it to find, like, as it's still getting darker, starting to get bright, that right exit to get out of, instead of being like another field, a field with cows, and you're afraid there's a bull in there, another field, whatever's going on, because it's still like there's farmyards around there. It's a working farm there as well. Like, that's why one of the many reasons why they only allow up to 200 people. Is there a point where you're starting to worry you're near that right exit onto the road towards checkpoint 2?
Yeah, so there's a wee little gate. You obviously weren't at the little gate. You didn't make it that way. You were further off the other side to the right, were you?
Yeah, I was more to the right at that stage. Yeah,
right. Yeah.
It was nearly in Scotland at that stage.
The gate is like to the left, and it kind of comes into a little forest. So it's kind of beyond a little dip. So you can't. There's no way, you don't see it until you're upon it, nearly like. So you can't really, you're kind of, if it's a clear night, turn off your torch and you could see the outline of the forest in front. So you're kind of generally going the right way. But that wee little gate, now that forest has now been felled. So if anybody has done it last year that's going to go back this year, that forest isn't there anymore. So your landmarker is now disappeared.
Oh, wow. So
you have anybody. That is going to be one of the greatest nuggets if anyone's listening to this, because that information, and I know because we've done it through different exercises, that little bit alone will confuse so many people in the dead of night towards the end.
Yeah, there's a little bit of forest left over to the right. So if people are thinking, oh, that's the edge of the forest, that should be to their left, they're going to be gone the total wrong way. So no forest. Oh, wow. The forest is not there.
Jeez, that's a big game changer. All right, so you find that gate, straight in the main road, and then you are, I think it's less than a kilometer away from checkpoint 2. And from here, I am lost. I know Arts Cross is 4K. Sorry, is a couple of 4K after checkpoint 2. I think it is going up the hill.
Around that. Yeah.
I went up there a couple of months later and I went a completely different way just to see Arts Cross. I remember looking at that field from where checkpoint 1, checkpoint 2 is, and like seeing the different entrances, it'd be like, I couldn't even pick out where I was lost. I know I went really high up and then really low back down again. I know I went like that, but I was completely lost. When I got to checkpoint 2, they were saying they couldn't see Arts Cross from where we were. It was real foggy. And they said if you struggle with navigation between checkpoint 1 and checkpoint 2, you're going to find it incredibly more difficult to continue and get to Arts Cross and obviously get to the finish of Glenmalure. Would you, having done that 3 times, would you agree with that statement that it's even trickier navigation? Or was that just like Seán, just as well as a lot of people there, just it's not your day, stop, pal. You've missed the checkpoint, you're done.
Yeah, the cross, like on a bright day during the day, you can see it from 3K out. It's just generally follow it. But in the dark, and especially last year, there was no visibility. Like we were upon it before we could see it. Like, oh, wow. But like navigation, I find the first bit harder. Like the checkpoint 1 to checkpoint 2, I find that navigation, if you can nail that, there's more markers for the second part. So you're kind of like, okay, well, we're at checkpoint 2, let's get to the little gate. Then you're kind of following the river pretty much all the way down to the plaque. And then it's like a very, very steep, somewhat slippery climb, like up along a wee little waterfall, and then up to the cross. And then but it's harder, not impossible, and it still is, it's harder to get lost.
Right.
Because you have the river. If you can keep the river on to your right and you can keep along the river, cross at a safe point, get down to the plaque and up to the cross, there's a little, there's a few little landmarks there that are easier to pick out and follow.
I feel a little bit happy knowing that I remember looking at the map beforehand and saying stick to the river to get close to the yards. Now you probably look at the map going, well, obviously you stick to the river, Seán. That's 101.
Well, some people go up the other way, but yeah.
For me, I was like, I remember looking at that and going, right, stick to the river, up to the cross, and then I actually can't remember what I said to myself from there, what I was supposed to do, get from there on then towards the finish. I'm not just saying that now, but I do remember sticking to the river. There was some no, I'm lost. I'm going to embarrass myself anymore. I continue talking. Obviously, I didn't get that. Actually, I remember thinking it was something that I got to the cross. Like, there's Beck all pathway there. To get anywhere, there's nothing there. So I would have been wrong. I would have got lost again.
Yeah, so the cross is one thing. And there's like, before you used to have to get to the cross. You used to just go from checkpoint 2 to the finish, like whatever way you wanted. Then it was like, oh, you have to get in within 400 meters of the cross and your tracker would bing in and then you'd know so you didn't have to get to it. But the last year and this year now, you have to get to it because you get last year we got a little bracelet, this year we get a little buff. So you have to have them presented at the end. And it's just a way for them to check in that everybody's accounted for, like, so it makes sense.
Yeah, 100%. And so what do you use to get from the cross on towards the finish?
So, yeah, I said, like, I use everything and anything at my disposal. So I would check my bearing on my compass and I have that checked. And I'm like, right, it's there. It's that way, in through the cloud, in through the dark. And then I have a GPX on my watch and then I have the hiker app. So, like, I'm not too proud to use it all. I don't want to get lost.
Well, the thing is finishing, like, and when they drove me to the finish line was really hurt. I was talking to guys there. I was talking to guys that were in the army, and they were like, I was like, oh, well, they clearly know because they got navigation skills and to get where they got there. And they're like, yeah, no, but the GPX and the watch really helped. And I'm like, and a lot of people, whether they use it as a guide or use it to watch the whole way through. I was just, I want to say naive to be like, I don't want to use the watch. I don't want to use this. I want to read the maps and stuff and have an idea and go through it. And I hadn't got time to recce and all this stuff. And all these excuses for not doing what I did that day. You are obviously putting the work in, getting out there and seeing how to go from step to step.
Yeah, like if you want to use the map and compass and just do that, like that's, but you need to get out and make your mistakes on the recce's. Like if that's what someone wants to do, get out and make your mistakes and figure it out, and then you'll know. Going out with a map and compass when you've opened it up the day before. I mean,
the day of.
Not only that, Ciara, at least you did a course. He might as well have been looking up a horse's arse. He didn't even know what he was looking at.
It's so I remember the week of talking to someone about it, and I was like, you've got, checkpoint 1 is like 4 hours, and I'm gonna do that, and then checkpoint 2, I think it was 7:30 the next day, so that's 8.5 hours to get 43k. I'm like, if I haven't got 43k in 8.5 hours, I've done something terribly wrong, which I didn't. I did a lot of things terribly wrong.
So, it's easily done. Don't beat yourself up.
Some year I get it right. So you get through on then towards the finish. Then is it?
So you're trudging through from Arts Cross, then down towards Table Track. That's where you're aiming for now. That's your next landmark, I guess, and that's what you're going for. So it depends on what way you want to take it. But again, your kind of climb is done, so that's great. That feels good once you're at the top of the cross. There's not a lot more climb to do. You're just trudging through bog again, more bog, more holes, more wet. I'm really selling this, am I?
You really, wow, people are signing up to run now for this year.
But yeah, you're aiming for table track. Well, that's what the way I would go. And that when you see that, because generally it's starting to get bright at that stage, so like you can kind of see a little bit more, visibility is getting a bit better, and that feels so good when you're on that and you can move your legs again, and you can, not very fast, but you can move, get the blood going again. You're getting a bit cold, getting a bit tired. It's been a long night. It does feel good to put the feet onto hard ground, not the soft bog that you've been on for the last how long, 6 hours.
Yeah, and then you're on the home straight from there.
You're
Or
doing it. Yeah, really. Yeah, you're home and holes. You just have to, keep the head going and keep nutrition coming in. Like, I know, like first time I did it, I nearly stopped eating too early because I was like, sure, we're nearly done. We're nearly done, but you're not. Like, you're not nearly done, but your navigation's done. So it's just straight on down then into Glenmalure. Can't make a mistake.
Wow.
You've never seen Seán.
Speaking of the food and nutrition, did you take the hot meal when you got to Capure?
Oh, what did I take? No, I think I had soup when I got to Capure. I couldn't eat I don't know, I had loads of different types of food, but I think I had soup and a bread roll. I had my own bit of food. But I checked point too, there's porridge and coffee. And that is so nice. I would, if anyone's doing it, just take it. Take it on, because it's nice to get a hot feed. You're probably soaking wet, feeling a bit. So the coffee and the porridge and the poor little scouts that they have out dishing it out to you, just be nice to them. They're out there all night as well. They're only like 14, 15, 16 years old.
Jeez, fair play to them.
I know.
Incredible.
So they're dishing it out. So yeah, take it in. It's lovely, and then it just keeps you going for the next little bit. So yeah, take on whatever's on offer, really.
Yeah, and then straight on through then to the finish. Here, is there anything we haven't touched on in terms of this is what people should definitely know if they're doing it this upcoming Friday?
Trying to think now. Is there anything definitely? I would just get yourself organized this week. Get everything done. Mark off your kit, all the little bits and pieces. Try and get the prep done, so then Friday you don't really have all that to worry about. Label everything in the bag, when you're taking it out, and put it in an order in which you'll be taking it out. Just can't be organized enough, because you get into Capure, that's the only time you're having your bag, so you don't have a bag after that. So just have everything laid out and labeled. This is even just as basic as leggings, top, rain jacket, socks, so you don't forget anything, or spare gloves, dry gloves. Have them all labeled, and then you can just throw them into your pack. So yeah, that's what I would do. Just get organized. And if you haven't been out for a recce, get out for a recce. Get out. Make the time. Either go first thing in the morning or after work or something. Get out, even if it's a little bit, just to get a feel of where you're going. Even if it's just a bit of forest, just for your head, just so you know where you're at. So they're the things I would recommend for the night. Not so much, just the prep in between now and then. Yeah.
The best of it, I've never done Art O'Neill, but we've done a little bit of stuff over the mountains. The best bit of advice I could give anyone is act early on it. If you're starting to sweat too much, it's time to take off a layer.
Yeah.
Don't say I'll give it 500 meters. It's a race through the night. It's not a 10K. So if something is chafing you, act on it there and then. Change the sock, do whatever, even just one sock, just change something, put Vaseline on something. Because the earlier you act on something, the better off you're going to be in an hour or two's time, the more comfortable you want to be. It's a tough event. It is a really tough event. I'd be terrified to do it myself, but it's one thing that I think there'd be the bits of advice, when you're going uphill, you're going to be using more energy, you're going to be heating up, so it's time to dress down. And when you're coming downhill, it's time to dress up. That's when you're going to get the chills. And it's just little elements like that can help people. But and like that, as Ciara has alluded to, eat early. When you need the food, it's too late. So always be nibbling enjoy it, and just maintain that consistent pace. And it's a race of consistency. It's for the average Joes. For Seán, it's 7 right turns to finally take a straight run, but it's the best bit of advice I can give to anyone who's doing it. Again, with the gear prep and everything, is make sure you're doing these things right and doing things early. A lot of people you'll see with their rain jackets on, starting to run, and out of Dublin Castle, you're like, you're going to be sweating in 2 minutes. Anticipate you're going to be moving quicker over the ground and stuff, and dress appropriately. Last year was a washout, so I don't think there was anything you could do at any point to get warm, but it's just play to what you can. And that's the best advice I can give anyone in terms of the hills and navigation. I just remember, Seán, as I met you at that first checkpoint and you were heading off, and I was walking back to the car going, if I could trade places with anyone at that moment, I probably would have done it for you there and then, because I knew you were going to be in a world of hurt. But hopefully anyone listening has gotten so many nuggets out of this, Ciara. It's been absolutely brilliant.
Thanks. Yeah, I would agree though with you, Eric. Just deal with it. Deal with whatever problem it is. Deal with it immediately. Do not leave it, and keep eating. Even if it's just nil nibbles. Like, I'm devil further to if you get cold. Oh, I couldn't be arse getting it out of my pack, or we have to take off my glove to get in at that. But just do it, eat it, and if just keep on top of it, and then that's the only way to get you through it, get you through the night.
I didn't think you guys could point out another mistake I made last year, but that was pretty much it. Like, deal with it later. This is just miserable. I get there when I get there. I take off this layer, and then I was like, yeah, too warm now. How did I get warm all of a sudden? Because I threw so many layers after that 25K when it was soaking wet, whatever. I think I just like all the layers I had went on. I was like, and then after that, then you start getting more wet because you're sweating in it, and it is rain, and it's not waterproof enough. And sure, look.
Yeah,
Thank you very much for coming on to the podcast and giving people a proper insight into the Art O'Neill this year, so I don't feel like a fraud and trying to wing my way to tell people what to do when I don't. I know more now after listening to you, and I will keep applying next year until I eventually get in, and I'll eventually talk about my success one of these days. But your success coming up this week, you and your brother and sister, it's going to be class. Best of luck.
I'm excited. Very good.
I hope you get great weather for it, Ciara.
Fingers crossed.
And best of luck to anyone listening to this week's episode of the podcast that's doing the Art O'Neill as well this coming Friday. That's it for myself, Ciara, and Eric. Take care.
Thank you.
I hope it's freezing.
Me too.